Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast and a Game 3 between Kaelaris versus Kara. Game 3 taking place here on Shattered Temple. Shattered Temple, there is one burrowed supply depot over here. So it looks like this is the MLG version of the map, as we now see an Overlord begin to move out across this chasm here and will quickly come across Kara, as this will be close by air positions. Now, Protoss versus Zerg, and we'll see what Kara comes up with this time. Games 1 and Games 2, or Game 1 was a little bit more one-sided. Game 2, really interesting matchup. Something that I don't normally see. Protoss air versus mass spore crawlers. But then again, Kaelaris was able to handle himself very well and be able to push back, and now we are going into a Game 3 within this series. We can see a probe now making his rounds. It will be scouting out the 9 o'clock position in just a moment, and then see that there is not a hatchery there, as a drone now tries to make its way down. The drone will come across his opponent's base, as the probe does spot the creep and now continues to move along on the inside of this path. No extractor, no spawning pools. And we'll see what exactly Kaelaris tries to go first. Kaelaris could go for an easy spawning pool first here, as we do see a gateway now being established by Kara. So Kara getting a little bit of a later gateway, since he did scout right after that probe on the pylon. But then again, I think that is the normal timing, as the probe decides to back away, and now a new probe comes in. The drone now down to 19 hit points, going to continue to wander around. We are getting an assimilator already. Cybernex core should be added in just a moment, as we could be getting some chrono boosted out probes even further. There is a probe hanging around by the natural expansion, pretty much just sitting there hoping to block a hatchery, but unbeknownst, Kaelaris is going into an extractor pool, or pool extractor, excuse me, and will get metabolic boost in just a few more seconds, or start that metabolic boost as soon as he gets 100 gas. Nah, it's still quite a ways away. Drone now battling it up against a probe. That probe looks like it will come out ahead, but natural regeneration on that drone. You can see the probe very low, and the drone now going to get in position, and oh, one more shot would do it, but gets the drone right as he tries to grow up to be an extractor. Cybernex core now finally being added on the front door. A zealot being trained up before the Cybernex core started, so that is a little bit of an unusual opening, as that will delay his warp gate tech. The zealot needs to sit there and hold position. We'll see how all of this is going to work out, as a Zergling now makes his way down to the natural expansion. The probe, pretty much its days are numbered, needs to escape. Looks like it will be doing, or trying to do exactly that, as the probe now down to 10 hit points. He will just go up the ramp and try to take a look. It looks like the damage is going to be dealt, especially if he walks on creep. Doesn't even have to get on creep, as the Zerglings are able to finish him off. Now, Cybernex core has been completed. We are going into double gas by Kara. This Overlord, I believe, is spottable. Yes, the Overlord is spottable here, as we are now going into a robotics facility. So Kara opting to go for observers and perhaps Colossi instead of going air, or he could be trying to go for some quick warp gate, warp prism tech play, as a stalker now makes his rounds. You can see that the Zerglings are going to come across that stalker over here. The stalker going to perhaps get some easy damage, and perhaps even finish off one Zergling, if not two, getting in some damage there. Two more shots should do it. One more shot should do it, and yes, enough. The stalker able to get two Zerglings, where every Zergling counts at this stage in the game in terms of map control and sight. The Zerglings are being forced to run all the way back home. We can see that's warp gate tech about a third of the way completed, as we now are also getting in 2 additional gateways, and a robotics facility is now completed. So this may be that warp prism play. We'll see if Kara will be successful at all, as we now are getting into a large number of Zerglings. So curiously enough, Kaelaris opting to go for heavy Zergling here on Shattered Temple, as opposed to getting any roaches so far. Still, the robotics facility has yet to train anything. It has been there for quite some time now, finally getting that warp prism. So he's going to try to load up 4 units, and then perhaps pick up the unit and then drop and then warp in 3 units right behind it. You can see a pylon now warping in, as the Zerglings and the Zealots are now going to try to hold off this position. The Zerglings are all just corralled right there. The Zealot doing a good job holding its own. And now what is going to be happening, as that Zealot and the Stalker have dealt a lot of damage to that swarming group of Zerglings here, as the warp prism is about to be completed. Now, Kara needs to get that warp gate tech and now transition all of these gateways into warp gates. It looks like he will be doing exactly that. One zealot and a sentry in position here as the warp prism is going to pick up some units. You can now see that the stalkers are going to go after that overlord. The overlord is not going to... Will it be able to spot the robotics facility? Yes, it does spot the robotics facility, but a second one may catch the warp prism. The warp prism is hiding off over here. We are going into an observer. This one overlord gets taken down as well. And it actually bought time for Kara to get some cooldown on his warp gate. So he will be able to get 7 units into his opponent's base in just a matter of seconds. Zerglings now making their way across, perhaps thinking to stop and take down some of these units as we now see the warp prism coming along the far side. The front door does have a lot of spine crawlers. We need to see some zealots for Kara. He cannot do this with just Zerglings, as now we can see that the stalkers are battling up against the Zerglings here. Warp prism picks up all the units. There you go. And now tries to fly away. Immortals are being added, but the Immortal not going to be very effective, especially as I don't see any roaches. He's going to be going up against only Zerglings, and he really needs Zealots with +1 weapons upgrade if he wants to deal with that sheer number of Zerglings. Zerglings now coming back around. Still see that there is no expansion, and now he knows that his opponent is pretty much going to be doing a 1 base all-in. Stalkers now looking to position themselves, now caught in between a lot of spine crawlers and Zerglings, unable to really deal any damage here. Kara with the larger army, but nothing to show for it with so much static defense. Overlords, we are now going into an extractor, also adding in a roach warren. Harvester count is 28 compared to 27, but once again less diminishing returns as Kaelaris is mining off of 16 mineral patches instead of 8. Immortals now trying to make their way out, and it looks like will we have some force fields? No force fields, as the Zerglings are going to be able to take down 1 sentry very easily. Bad force field position there, as Kaelaris now able to retreat with those units once more. The Zerglings are not going to be able to do anything else, as now we are getting in more Zealots. The units are going to try to perhaps run by. In come the units again. There's some force field trapping the Zerglings. 1 sentry, I believe, was taken down. 1 Zealot trying to handle the swarm. Unable to. Getting surrounded and taken out. The front door does have another gateway. No photon cannons, though, as we now see the warp prism needs to pick itself up and move after a new round of Zealots are warping in. There you go. The warp prism is going to get back into the shuttle mode as the stalkers and the immortals look to perhaps do a bit of a push. The stalkers do see the Zerglings along the backside here, and now in comes this engagement, and now in come the Zerglings caught in the middle. The warp prism is going to be able to take down or get taken down, as the immortals should be able to finish off that spore crawler there. The spore crawler easily taken down, now phasing together, and more Zealots are going to be added. The immortals are in position. Zerglings, roaches, Zerglings coming in from behind, Zealots now coming in. The queen going straight after that warp prism. It gets taken down, and it looks like Kara, who tried to sit on 1 base for far too long, is not going to be able to fend off the sheer number of spine crawlers, queens, transfusions, and damage here, and Kara's going to lose 3 straight games to Kaelaris. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.